Alrighty folks, we are here today finally with the version 1.3 patch notes. By the time this video is up, these patch notes should be live. I've been complaining the last couple days that we haven't got these patch notes and that they were waiting super late to drop them. But you see here it actually says 4 days ago that they came out. For some reason the way that the Predecessor homepage works and the patch notes page works, when you refresh, it doesn't actually refresh it. I had to actually close my Chrome and reopen it completely in order to get these to update. So I would have already shot some videos on this, but coming here a little bit late. Wanted to originally do 3 videos for this, one discussing the new hero, one discussing the new items, and then one discussing balance changes. But in the interest of time and trying to get this out to you in a decently timely manner, we're going to roll them all into one. So if there's a specific part of these patch notes you want to check out, go to the timestamps, check it out. We got a lot to cover here. These are really big patch notes as we expected. So we're going to try to make good time and get through this for you. Thanks for coming to check out the video. Come check us out in the live streams if you haven't already, where we talk about the meta and play some games. Today we got a lot of meta discussion to go over as we've got a new hero as well as new items. So let's get right into it. Like I said, check out the timestamps if you want to check out a specific part. And let's get going here. So Mourn, this is the new hero we got. We got the trailer for it a while ago. It was just a cinematic trailer here. No big deal here. It didn't really show anything too specific. So now we actually get to look at the stats and abilities. So let's go through these first. Health, mana. I mean, we know it's a tank. I mean, he's getting good armor scaling with levels. He's getting good starting health, but really we're here to look at the abilities more than anything. So here we go. First off, his passive is a 9-second cooldown. Next basic attack gains additional range. Okay, magic power scaling. And additional, yep, so dealing additional damage to all enemies in front of him and converting all the damage dealt to magical damage. So damaging an enemy target heals Mourn by a % of his max health. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of like the passive off of Yin's extended range ability. Let's take a look. So that's what the bigger auto attack looks like, is a kind of a sweep with the vine there. So that's interesting. Doesn't look like it's very far extended range. His basic attack, yep, is just a standard basic attack. It does scale off of physical power, as pretty much all basic attacks do. Yeah, pretty straightforward there. So here we go. First ability, the primary. Contagion. Okay, looks like a little projectile that's dealing tick damage. 15 seconds down to 9 seconds cooldown. 60 up to 80 mana cost. Mourn vomits magical bugs that attach to nearby allies and enemy heroes. Okay. Mourn and allies hit restore health with magical power scaling every second for 3 seconds, so decent. And gain bonus armors. They gain a little bit of bonus physical and magical armor during that, so that's quite nice. That's a good support ability for sure. We'll take that. Enemies take damage, tick damage the same way every second for 3 seconds with magical power scaling, and have their armors reduced by 5. With their bonus armors reduced by 20%, so that's really good for tank killing. If you've got someone that's built, 150 plus armor, that's going to take quite a lot of armor off of them. So that's nice. Looks cool. Kind of hard to see the targeting in this video, but looks interesting. And you can see that he gets a little shield around him while he's being targeted by those bugs that are giving him healing and armor. So that's cool. This is secondary. Here. Okay. That looked interesting. It took a while to load up, made a big ring around him. And then he hit some sort of ability. Okay. 16 down to 12 seconds, 60 cost flat. Mourn channels energy into his fist, expanding up to 800 units of range over the duration of 1.5 seconds, gaining 25% damage reduction and slows himself by 30%. So it looks like you can move while channeling this, but you move slower. But you do have damage reduction at the end of the duration upon reactivation, so you could hit it early. Right here it looks like they wait till the full duration, but you could hit it early. Enemies take damage with pretty decent damage with good scaling, and are mesmerized. Mesmerized. What does that word mean? Is that similar to a silence? Or what is that? Maybe they'll describe that here below. So that seems interesting. Alright, here's his alternate ability. Okay, some sort of... Oh! It's a Richter pull. It's a Richter pull on a timer. Okay, 15 down to 12 second, 80 flat cost. Channel for up to 3 seconds, slowing yourself by 25%. Wind up your vine, increasing the range over the first second. After 3 seconds, the ability will be cancelled and go on a 50. So if you don't hit it during that duration, you get 50% of the cooldown back. Okay. Confirmed to unleash a torrent of vines that collide with the first enemy unit, dealing pretty fair damage. Up to 300 plus 75% magical scaling. Enemies hit by are partially pulled towards Mourn and slowed. So not completely pulled to him like a Richter. And then slowed for 1 second. So can we see that here? It looks like he was fully pulled right into Mourn's melee range there. I don't know why it says partially. Maybe we'll get some more details on that below. And here's his ultimate. In the video, this kind of looked like it was going to be some sort of blindness, AoE blindness smokescreen or something. So pretty standard cooldown, pretty standard cost. Let's take a look at it first. Okay, so this is definitely not some sort of smokescreen. It looks like some sort of area locust swarm. You can see the range of it is pretty far. You can see the range right out there on the edge. Way over there. Mourn absorbs light from the map for 4 seconds, causing all enemy heroes to have massively reduced vision for the duration. So yeah, it's a blindness effect. During this time, Mourn gains movement speed, and it's quite a bit of movement speed, which is nice for a melee type support like this. So that's cool. We can't see what that looks like from that Grux's perspective, but I'm sure it's probably like a blindness effect similar to a flashbang off of a phase, but maybe not as insane. And it says it lasts for 4 seconds, so I mean that's pretty significant in a team fight if you land that on multiple enemies. So that's cool. Mourn definitely is looking cool there. A lot of interesting abilities. A Rick pull, a heal, a teammate heal / armor boost, and a kind of standard tick damage type ability with a mesmerized effect. So we'll have to see what that actually entails. It's probably not a silence, but maybe they'll give some more details on that. Next up, we've got some skins. I'm sure there'll be some cool skins in here. Dynasty skins is the theme. Dynasty Grux, Dynasty Sparrow, Dynasty Quang. Yeah, pretty cool. Cool skins. They're going to be ridiculously overpriced, so probably don't buy them. Account linking. I don't know what this is. Okay, so this is just transferring the game between platforms. This is probably not going to affect very many people, but some form of account linking if you want to move what platform you're playing on. Level up rewards update. Okay. In 1.2, we introduced new level up rewards for each level up to 20. At the time, however, we were unable to retroactively grant these rewards. This is corrected with the launch of 1.3, so everyone like me who's, nearing in on level 200, you'll get all your level 1 through 20 rewards. So we'll see what those entail. I'm assuming it's like some amber and some stuff like that. Draft improvements. This is something we are definitely looking forward to. With the release of 1.3, several requested improvements are coming to the draft, including ability to swap roles, hero, and draft order with your allies. So they showed that off a while ago. We've definitely been looking forward to it. So yeah, this is basically going to be you can swap your position in the draft if you want to move up, or you can swap your roles after the draft if you're not happy with the role that you got in the pre-phase. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. Hero swapping, only available once both players have locked in their heroes. So yeah, if you didn't get switched in time, like if you wanted first pick because you're a jungler and you want to get a pick that you're worried they're going to get before your team, you could either swap to the role, or you could just tell your first pick person to take that hero and then swap with them after. So pretty cool, pretty standard stuff for most MOBAs. Position swapping, yeah, same thing. This would be the preferred, is to just swap positions in the draft with them early, but then maybe they still take a hero that you wanted, so you could swap heroes later and stuff like that. Ranked mode 24/7 trial. So yep, ranked coming to 24/7. While we're not yet ready to make ranked permanently available at all times, we've made the necessary preparations to run a 24/7 ranked mode trial for a limited time. So starting with 1.3, ranked mode will be open around the clock on the NA and EU servers for 14 days. So I guess they're just going to do a trial there, see how that goes. See if the player numbers kind of keep up and support that. So that'll be interesting. No downsides there. As long as the servers can keep up, there's no downsides to having 24/7 ranked. Now the tower fortifications, we saw this in the dev stream video, which I will link that dev stream video down in the description for you guys to check out if you missed it. It's on YouTube and on Twitch. And it was about 50 minutes long. They just talked about all the stuff that was coming in this patch and hinted at some more stuff in the future patches. And one of the things they showed off was the tower fortifications. Basically, towers, the T1 and T2s get their health bar separated into 4 sections. And we'll just read through this here and see what it says. From the start of the match, they are now fortified until the 15-minute mark. So after the 15-minute mark, tower fortifications will be going away, which is interesting. They didn't really talk about that in the dev stream. They have plated health bars, meaning each time you damage them down to 75, 50, 25, and 0, you'll be rewarded additional gold that will drop in the tower. Each time you destroy a plated segment, the tower will become more durable, while also summoning a temporary barrier that grants them even larger increase in armor for 10 seconds. So yeah, basically the way this is working is it's incentivizing you to burst down a quarter of the tower's health, take that extra gold from taking a quarter of it off or a plate off of it, and then get out of the tower because it's got massively boosted armor for 10 seconds. So it's just kind of encouraging getting pieces of the tower at a time, rather than most people were kind of waiting until they could take the tower from 100 to 0 in one go. Now it's going to be some more strategy to play around that. It's going to be easier to defend as well, because if you're actively defending your tower, it's going to be extremely hard for them to burst it all the way down. So that's interesting, and it's also going to discourage you pushing minions into the tower and just letting minions take off health, because then you're going to miss out on the plate gold that's dropping off of the tower. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see how it plays out. It looked really cool in the dev video. So here's the full mechanics breakdown. They will drop 2 gold pickups. So yeah, 110 gold per plate, so that means each tower is worth roughly the same amount of gold that it was worth before, unless there's extra gold added at the end, but it's looking like gold pickups last 25 seconds. Yep, so around 440 gold total just for knocking the plates off is quite a bit. And it doesn't get shared to your team anymore, you just have to pick it up at the tower, so that's interesting. Barrier duration 10 seconds. Okay, so the barrier is stronger or weaker depending on how many heroes are there. So if there's 5 nearby heroes, the barrier bonus armor is massive. Okay, and then also, depending on how many segments are remaining, it also receives bonus armor. So the last segment will be very hard to take down. And then they're still keeping the normal tower bonus armor after before the 8-minute mark. So we'll see what this all amounts to. It's definitely going to amount to more gold for people who are playing around this effectively in their lane and winning their lane hard, which is nice. It's also going to make towers easier to defend in the early game, which is really good because sometimes tower defense does seem kind of rough. Okay, here we go. Additionally, all towers inhibitors no longer grant local gold to nearby killers upon death. So yeah, just the plate gold is all we're getting. Instead, tower local gold is now dropped as 2 gold pickups for all towers on destruction. Okay, so when you destroy one tower, the other towers drop gold as well. As normal, and they would share. Okay, so we'll see if that reads like it sounds, where when one tower is destroyed, 2 gold pickups are dropped at all towers. So if you destroy like the solo lane tower, 2 gold is dropped at the mid and duo tower is what that sounds like. So we'll see how that looks. Okay, here we go with the new items. 14 new items is what it came out to. They were looking at 18, I thought, originally. But these are the 14 that we're getting. We've seen a lot of these already in the video that they talked about, the dev stream. And most of them look really cool. We got upgraded potions. We've got the feather that disappears if you die with it. We've got a lot of stuff. One of the big ones right here we're already talking about is a new stat, which is ultimate haste. This is basically ability haste, but it only works for your ultimate, so that's kind of cool. That's good for a lot of people, or a lot of heroes that build around their ultimate or are using their ultimate to, as a big part of their kit. Let's see. So here's an example of how it's going to work. If you have 10 ability haste and 15 ultimate haste, your ultimate effectively has 25 total haste worth of cooldown. So they do add together, which I was hoping they wouldn't, because it would make ultimate haste even more valuable, because you get diminishing returns. I was hoping that they would be calculated separately, but they are added together. So if you're already building 40-50 haste, having an extra 20 ability haste or whatever is going to be meaningless. But in the early game, it will still be strong to have an ability haste item potentially. So we'll look through these items real quick. These are the new items. Some of them are, or most of them are really cool. I like the design that they've went with them. First off, we've got the Divine Potion. This is a 350 gold cost upgrade to your original potion. And yeah, see, it starts with your original potion plus 350 gold. So you could buy this at the very beginning of the game if you want. Permanently upgrades your refillable potion to now restore additional health and mana. And it regenerates a decent amount of health and a okay amount of mana over 15 seconds. So it doesn't look like it's going to be overpowered by any means, but pretty cool. You can get a multi-pot now, which we've been, asking for. Lucky Feather. So this is the new item that is destroyed. This item will destroy itself upon death and sells for a reduced value of 300 gold when you do sell it. Costs 700 gold. Comes with just 3 Omnivamp, which is still an interesting stat to put on this for the early game. And basically, the passive is deal 5% increased damage to minions and monsters. Upon killing an enemy unit, you get 7 additional gold, or 17 if they are a camp leader. So whether you're in lane and you're trying to farm gold early, or you're in jungle and you're trying to farm gold, you could pick this up for 700. As long as you can get, if you can get 100 minion kills, it pays for itself, and then you get your 300 gold back on sell. But that's reliant on you not dying with it. So it is going to be a risk versus reward item. Pretty cool design. Nice to see how this will be played around. Because if you see an enemy building Lucky Feather, it would probably be worth diving them and getting it off of them and burning that extra gold that they've got. or they're potentially trying to get from it. 5% increased damage to minions is pretty good too for jungle clearing early, just for a 700 gold item. New tier 2s, Razor Claw. Not really interested in these tier 2s. These are just, going to be stepping stones along the way. We may investigate them in a tier 1 and 2 gold efficiency spreadsheet at some point, but not too interested in them right now. Let's go ahead and look at the tier 3s. Viper, the return of Viper. This item was in the game before. They're bringing it back. See if it's the same as it used to be. 3,200, so quite expensive for 30 power, 30 attack speed, 6 pin. On damaging an enemy hero, reduce their physical armor by 4% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. So it's percent reduction that stacks, so that's pretty insane. And they'll be corroded. After 6 stacks, they'll become eroded, and then eroded heroes receive 8% increased on-hit damage and ability damage from you. On-hit damage and ability damage. So is that just on-hit procs, I'm assuming, not actual auto attack damage? Maybe that means auto attacks, they're just calling it on-hit. So that's, stacking 4% times 6 times. I mean, pretty good stacking percent pin here. I think they said they were changing Demolisher around, so this may be like a substitute for Demolisher if you want all that percent pin. Spear of Desolation, 2950, 45 power, 7 pin, 10 haste. So this is like an assassin type item. Obviously it says assassin here, but like a burst assassin, like a Fang Mao or a Kalari or whatever. Passive is, upon using your ultimate, gain 7% increased damage for 6 seconds, so that's pretty much going to be the entire duration of the fight after you hit your ult. And you also get 15 ability haste on it. Pretty good. I could definitely see that getting used on some junglers or some solo assassins that like to swing their ultimate around. Like a Seraph would be insane with this. 7% increased damage after you hit your ult. A Seraph is a lot of damage, and you get the haste, and you get flat pin, so pretty decent. Psionic Echo, 3,000 gold, 45 power, 7 pin, 10 haste, 12 lifesteal. That's good. We needed some more lifesteal items, but it is lifesteal and not Omnivamp. So you're probably looking at this on an auto attacker. Upon casting your ultimate, or upon casting an ability, your next 2 basic attacks within 3 seconds gain 45% bonus attack speed. So yeah, wow. This can actually turn some non-auto attackers into auto attackers, potentially like a Fang Mao or like a Kalari, or even building this on a Seraph. If you're not building a full attack speed, Seraph could be interesting. Greystone, obviously this is valuable on if you're going damage Greystone. And then the other one, melee heroes reset their basic attack cooldowns when activating Duplicity. So you could potentially auto attack cancel better, because this has no cooldown on it either. So you can auto attack cancel faster, and you get a ton of attack speed. I mean, I could even see building this on maybe a Crunch. The lifesteal part is interesting because it's going to make you want to build this on a hero that's swinging auto attacks anyway, and mixing in abilities. So like a Fang Mao or like a maybe a Kalari or something like that, again, could benefit from this quite a bit. Rupture, I think this is what they said was kind of taking some of the spot of, it seems like it would be taking the spot of Earthshaker, but maybe they indicated it was taking the spot of a Bonesaw type item. So it's 3,000 for 30% attack speed, 300 health, 15 haste, and 7 Omnivamp. So no power on it, but quite a bit of attack speed, health, and 7 Omnivamp is quite nice. While within 475 units of an enemy hero, your basic attacks deal bonus damage and based off of, assuming this is your bonus health, and your power. So you get health and power scaling on it. So just extra on-hit damage to your basics for an ability haste Omnivamp attack speed item. Pretty cool. Definitely like Gruks and stuff are going to be building this, tankier Gruks. This would be really good on crunch. It is physical damage on hit, but still that would be good on crunch and stuff like that. Tyranny. 3100, 40 power, 375 health, 10 haste. It is 3100, so yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, passive. Upon casting your ultimate, gain 30% decaying movement speed for 4 seconds and 20 ability haste for 8 seconds. Takedowns within this time re-trigger the ability. Okay, takedowns within 8 seconds or takedowns within 4 seconds? It's not really clear on that one, but still, either way, it seems like a really good item. Again, this works well with some tankier heroes, maybe. Melee heroes that want to keep the gap closed, people that want to spam their abilities. I don't really know actually what place this has. I can't really think what, I mean, maybe like a Grux or something, you would want something like this on to stay after them. I mean, it's an interesting item. We'll see how that pans out. Support items, Quantum Core. This is the one that changes your blink to a tele blink. So 2600, it is a support item, so it's quite cheap. 450 health and 250 mana with 10 haste. Replaces your blink with tele blink. Tele blink has a reduced cooldown, but cannot be used while in combat. So it's basically half the cooldown length of your blink, but you cannot use it in combat. So you can use it to get into a fight, like if you want to. They showed off Narbash ulting in, or Narbash blinking into the middle of a fight, and then you can't use it to blink out because you can't use it while in combat, and you get 15 ultimate haste. So definitely a support type item. A Narbash could use this. Somebody who wants to be in the fight, a Richter could use something like this. Someone who doesn't care if they have an escape or if they already have another escape, they may could want to use this for some reason. A Gideon could potentially even take this, although the stats don't really align with what a Gideon would want. Interesting. We'll see how that ends up looking. The shorter cooldown blink is quite nice. Catalytic Drive, I really like this on the tanks. I liked seeing this and the cybernetic drive and how this works. 250 health. It's 2900, so it's pretty pricey for a tank item, especially for support. 250 health, 40 armor, magical armor, 100 health regen, 10 ability haste. Y'all didn't quite get your bullet points set right there, but 10 ability haste. Next basic attack on hit against an enemy minion will cause them to explode, healing you up to 30 plus 6% of your max health, and granting 10 additional gold. It also deals nearby damage to other enemy units. Upon executing 25 minions, with deconstruction, it evolves into cybernetic drive. So yeah, that was cool. This is like something you could build on a tank to help you clear minions faster. What kind of cooldown is on this? It doesn't say the cooldown here. It just says your next basic attack. Obviously, there's a cooldown meant to be put here, just so you can see what the cooldown is. Maybe it'll say it on this one. And then it upgrades into this one, which is the same stats. Next basic attack causes them to explode, healing you for the same amount, dealing the same amount of damage nearby, with the bonus passive of gain 15% increased physical armor and magical armor. So that is really nice. If you're building a huge armor build, maybe even including Stonewall on top of this, or Warden's Faith, that's going to come out to a huge amount of armor. Wish they would have said the cooldown here. I'm sure it'll say it in-game on how often that this passive can proc, because obviously it's not every basic attack blows up a minion. But pretty cool. You previously mentioned our hopes to add 18 new items. Unfortunately, however, some of those extra items didn't quite meet our balance and gameplay integrity. So yeah, that's cool. Items removed, Bonesaw. They talked about that already. So that is it for the new items. They look really cool. Excited to see them in action. It's interesting to see how many people End up buying the upgraded pots and a lucky feather. Those will be some cool items. And then the Teleblink is definitely going to help out supports quite a bit. Ultimate Haste being in the game now is going to make a lot of heroes viable in different ways. So yeah, that's the new items, and Bonesaw is out. So gameplay balance changes. Let's look at the overview here before we dive into the total sum of gameplay balance changes. The items were added, various adjustments / reworks to some carry and fighter items, so we're going to have a lot of item changes to go over. Ultimate Haste added, minion experience range decreased, so you get less XP from minions. Boss monster durability and damage increases. Okay, we'll see what that entails. Outer towers are fortified. Yep, we talked about that already. So new gold drops on them every quarter of their health. Now drop local gold onto the floor when they are destroyed instead of being granted generically. So yeah, the gold is all dropped, not automatically added to your team. Okay, so minion XP reward distance. Okay, so that's what experience range. So how close you have to be to the minions to get XP was reduced. So that's interesting. Can't stand super far back from wave and still get XP, but it's still good range. Jungle, various boss monsters are receiving shifts to their durability and damage, making them more threatening. Okay, we'll see what these entail. Fangtooth gets a health increase. Just by 100 per level, so not insane. Physical armor increase by 2 per level. And current health damage increased. Okay, so it hits you harder when it does its current health hits. I don't know if that's an on-hit proc or the Flame Breathe proc. Primal Fang, current health damage increased. Okay, so yeah, same thing. Mini Prime health changed to 500 extra health at the beginning of the game and then 50 less per level, so that'll balance out pretty well. So that's it for the general changes. We are now looking at the hero balance changes. I'm sure there's going to be a lot here. We'll try to go through them quick because it's going to be kind of hard to tell how this is actually going to shift the meta with the inclusion of all these new items and stuff. If you want to come through here and read all of these, you can either pause the video or pull up these patch notes for yourself, which I would recommend you doing anyway. But let's go through them pretty quick here. Particle Shredder, that is his rapid fire spam ability. Damage decreased pretty significantly at late game, and mana cost also decreased to match that, so that's good. That's probably a good balance. That thing can really burn people down too hard. Fangmao gets a little bit of attack speed, not very much, and Hamstring gets its damage upped again just by 5 with a stronger slow, and to balance it out, a longer cooldown in the early game. So kind of reverting some changes that they made with a short cooldown, but making it do more damage and slow more. So quite nice. We'll definitely take that. Gideon, Cosmic Rift, damage decrease by 10 across the board. Okay, that's not a huge difference. Void Breach, damage decreased again by just 5 across the board. So a little bit of damage off of Gideon. Not enough to matter. Flame Turret, turret health, magical power scaling decreased. Let's just go ahead and make Iggy scale even worse. Why not? Quang, physical power decreased. That's not important. That's just the beginning game power. Strike of the Heavens. Okay. Damage decrease on his passive by 1 per level. Cooldown refund decrease, so he won't be able to spam his abilities as fast if he is correctly using his passive. Now also grants cooldown reduction against monsters. Okay, so actually he will be able to clear wave potentially faster with resetting his cooldowns on the wave. So that's nice. Judgment of the Heavens, the lightning bolt. Or the throw. This is the sword throw. Damage decreased just at max rank, or just like on upgrade. Same at level 1. Cost decrease is nice. And cooldown decreased late game by 1 second, so not too big of a change. Surge, this is the dash. We get same cooldown at the beginning, 1 second shorter cooldown late game, so we'll definitely take that. Light of the Heavens, the bolt damage decreased by 20 late game, same at level 1. Scaling increased though by 5%, so that'll kind of outweigh that late game scaling. It should be about the same. True damage decrease by 20 at late game, so that kind of hurts him, but it does get better scaling. Shield bonus health scaling decreased. Just by 1%, but that's not great. And cooldown decreased by 1 second late game. So we'll take that. His cooldowns did seem kind of long late game unless you were building a ton of haste. Damage, this is for his ult. Damage decreased by 30 late game, same at level 1. So they're kind of shifting him more to having better cooldowns and a little bit less damage across his kit. We'll see how that makes him feel. Probably still feels very viable because most of his utility that he's providing to the team isn't based around his damage. It's based around his root or his tether and his ult slows and stuff like that. So that's fine. Murdoch. We're expecting to see some nerfs here because this man has been in the meta for quite a long time. Movement speed decrease on his movement ability by 5%, and his ultimate gets a longer cooldown by 10 seconds across all ranks. So maybe that'll shift him into a little bit of a weaker spot. Those aren't really the things that make him too strong, but some small adjustments down for Murdoch. Kira, total physical power scaling decrease. This is on her Mercy. Decrease from 80 to just flat 80. So upgrading Mercy does not give you increased power scaling. That's probably fair. I don't think that was a really big problem with Kira or anything, but it'll still get better base damage as you upgrade it anyway, so it doesn't really need the power scaling. Phase. Bug fix now shows cooldown reduction on level up in the ability upgrade info. Okay. So yeah, the Energy Lance does get a shorter cooldown. It just had a graphical bug on displaying that. Seraph, her passive, cooldown reduced, decreased from 70 to 65. That shouldn't make a huge difference on her cooldown refund, abilities. Like she already is going to have enough haste to spam abilities when she needs to, most likely. Sevrog, here we go. Let's see what they've done. Health regeneration increased. Okay, we'll definitely take that. Basic attack gets 5% extra cleave, which is interesting. Maybe that'll make him clear jungle a little bit quicker, especially 5 camp. And Siphon gets a damage increase by 5 across the board. So some really small adjustments to Sev. I think he's already in a good spot for the most part. He's still going to probably lose a lot of solo lane matchups unless these new items just like super change up how he plays. Skylar's been extremely strong in my opinion. I seem to have ridiculous games with her dealing huge amounts of damage, so let's see what they've done. Mana decreased in the start of the game by a little bit, not too much. Thrust, so this is the fly. Damage decreased by the little projectiles that come off by 5. And movement speed decreased by 5%, so you can't just run people down as easy. That's probably fair. Now the beam, here we go. Damage decreased, of course. The beam was too strong. 20 less base damage. Oh, this is the ultimate. This is hypercharged the ult. Okay. So 20 less base damage. 10 less physical power scaling. 5 less magical power scaling, and missing health scaling decreased by barely any. 3% at level 1 and 1% at max rank, so that probably doesn't change her. Most of the damage that she's doing is coming off of the beam, and it's really what's shredding people, so that's not too big of a deal. Sparrow, the hail of arrows, slow increased. Okay, so significantly stronger slow. Actually, just 5% stronger slow at max rank. Yeah, 5% across all ranks. That's fine. It's good for her to have a slow ability since she doesn't have a movement ability. Oh dear, Rafe, here we go. Knock knock. Damage changed from 100 scaling to 200 to 90 to 210, so that's good, makes him better late game. Bonus physical power decreased by 5. Projectile speed increase, nice. It'll be easier to hit the knock-knocks. Now benefits from lifesteal. Wow, okay. 10 less mana cost, and 10% less mana refund. So those balance out pretty well. Probably still conserves his mana better. So, yeah, I don't expect that to make Wraith any weaker for sure. Maybe just slightly weaker in the early game, but benefiting from lifesteal is pretty cool. Yin, they probably want to take Yin down a couple notches here. Health gross decreased by 2, so that's only, 40 less health at the end of the game. Her passive attack speed decreased, so this is when she hits autos, it gets bonus attack speed. Yeah, going down to 5.5 from 6 in the late game is probably noticeable, times 6 stacks. Lash kick, smoothness improved, nice. Wind burn, max health damage decreased. Okay, so they're taking the max health damage down. This is the Sky Splitter type effect she has on her increased range, and they are increasing the cooldown by a second across all ranks. It did seem like it was pretty much always up, so that makes sense. Her ult, slow decreased, and cooldown increased by 10 seconds in the late game. I don't think the slow on her ult was a big deal. This will definitely take her down a notch, but probably not too much. People that are still good at her are still going to have fun with her for sure. And then finally, Zinx. How many times has Zinx got nerfed, guys? I mean, this is the same thing as Terra. Terra comes out, 8 patches in a row she's nerfed. Zinx comes out, this is what, patch number 4 or 5 in a row that she's been nerfed. Triage Protocol passive movement speed decreased. Her movement speed was absolutely insane when she procced her passive, but that was one of the things that made her cool. So down to 25%, it'll still be significant, but not as absurd as it was. So that's going to do it for the hero changes. Not too much that really stands out to me as like massive changes. A lot of changes on Quang to quicker cooldowns. But other than that, I'm not really seeing anything too absurd. I mean, nobody else really got hit too hard. Yes, I mean, I think the Yin changes may be the only other real significant ones other than Quang. But we'll see how these balance out, factoring in the new items. So here is the item changes. Starting with Crest here. Liberator, cooldown increased by 15 seconds. Yeah, the cleanse is really strong on that. Witch Stalker, Purifying Strike, cooldown increased. Also cooldown increase. Yep, so longer cooldown on these cleanses. Stasis Device, longer cooldown on Stasis. Reclamation, longer cooldown. So just a longer cooldown on a lot of these crests that people are using. The Cleanse Crest, the Stasis Crest. And then I don't think too many people are even using Reclamation, so I'm not really sure about that. But some tier 2 item changes aren't really going to make that big of a deal. This is the Moon Boots. This is the tier 2 item off of Moon Boots. Decreased. Oh no! This is, what is this? Yeah, this is the tier 2 item off of Moon Boots. Okay, so going down to 5% from 8, so that makes sense. Carry items, Ashbringer. Cost increase for 5 extra power, 10 less attack speed, 5 less haste. And then they're reworking the passive. Basic attacks decrease your current basic ability cooldowns by 12%, reduced to 5% against non-heroes. Okay, so I guess they weren't happy with how Ashbringer was functioning because it was a flat number, not a percent-based number. So now it's working off of a 12% of your current ability cooldowns, with the trade-off of having 10 less attack speed on it and 5 less haste. That is definitely a nerf. With the cost increase, that's definitely a nerf to Ashbringer, so that's interesting. Demolisher, they said they were changing this one up quite a bit. 5 extra power. Physical pin reduced from 30 to 10 or 20. so that is a big difference. And they removed the deicide max health difference damage on hit, and the new passive is your basic attacks and critical strikes additionally ignore 30% of your target's bonus physical armor. Okay, so that's actually not really a nerf, because you've got 20% pin, and then it also ignores 30% of their built armor. So that is pretty interesting. That's still extremely strong against tanks that are building armor. Not necessarily against tanks that are building health, but definitely against tanks that are building armor. You're still going to want this in conjunction with like Sky Splitter if they're building massive health, but that's actually not a nerf. Really, that's still quite strong. Nuke rounds really needed to be changed around. I don't think a lot of people were building it. Massive cost decrease, completely removed the power and swapped it for 40% attack speed. This had attack speed before, so they're just kind of reverting this back to the way it used to be. Going down to only 15 haste, and Havoc ability damage based on 20% to 100% crit range changed from 3 to 15 to 4 to 20. Okay, so this still pretty valuable on heroes that want to do more ability damage, but at the same time they're swapping 45 power for 40 attack speed and losing 5 haste. So kind of doubt this really gets built much still, unless the cost is just that big of a factor. I mean, it does cost 300 less now, so maybe it could be a good early game item. Pick up attack speed, pick up ability damage, but then again, you won't get that much crit out of it unless you're building like Plasma Blade or something. Your abilities aren't going to hit that much harder early game. So I don't know, that's an interesting one. Anoxian Quiver. See what they've done here. Cost decrease, Keen Strikes passive removed. So this is the melee version that gave you mitigation. Now we've got it reworked to this. Melee heroes gain 5% additional crit chance for every 20% crit chance they have. Additionally, they gave 1% damage mitigation. So you still get the damage mitigation, and you just get 5 extra crit from every crit item you build. So you only have to build 4 crit items to build, with 4 to build 100% crit. So that's quite interesting. That is quite interesting. That'll definitely free up some melee heroes to build some more armor and health items. Plasma Blade. Oh god, jeez. What have they done to Plasma Blade? 20% crit chance added. And then the critical change decreased from 8 to 4. So it will still give you the 40% crit chance as before, but now 20% of that is just on card, and then the other 20% is coming from the stacks. So that is quite a bit better. That is significantly better. Plasma Blade on Skylar is looking nicer and nicer. Also, it makes it so that it can proc with Anoxian if you're building both of them on a melee hero. So that is quite strong. That is quite strong. So you could get to like 95% crit if you're building this. C5, but now you'll build, you won't quite get to 95 if you want to build 3 items. If you build this, and another crit item, that'd be 75, 75, 70, or yeah, that'd be 25, 25, 25 for 75, and then this would give you another 20. So yeah, you would get to 95% crit if you built Plasma Blade, Anoxian, and one other crit item on a melee hero. Recipe change for Rezo, great. No one cares. Spectra. Cost decreased by 200. Attack speed decreased by 5. Radiant Strikes on hit damage decreased from 30 to 25. That's probably a good change for 200 less gold. If you can get it online sooner, it's probably worth it, because you're really only building at first item on certain heroes anyway. So it being slightly cheaper means that if you're going at first item, you can get it off faster, which is quite nice. Solaris, cost increased by 100 for 5 less power, 5 less haste. Damage scaling changed from 100% crit strike chance to 15% bonus physical power. So no longer gets bonus damage based off your crit. And the actual damage can now critically strike. Heals you for 50% of the damage dealt. Okay, so this is another option for healing. And it's not completely based around crit anymore. So that's interesting. You can deal more damage with it. It scales off of power instead of your crit chance, and you can heal off of it. So that's pretty cool. You could build this in conjunction with a Noxian and Sky Splitter and have a ton of healing, which is cool. Haste gets reduced to 15 though, so that's kind of not great. Assassin items, Deathstalker. Pin decreased. Physical penetration increased. And max stacks decreased from 5 to 6. I don't really see this or from 5 to 4. I mean, it goes from 2 to 3, so it's going to be about the same. So not a huge difference there, just takes less hits to get it online. Echelon Cloak, activation time decreased from 2.5 to 2 seconds. Okay, well nobody's building that anyway, so that doesn't matter. Omen, momentum cooldown refund increased. Not that many people are really building Omen. I guess Feng Mao. But it's a small change here anyway, so that shouldn't be a big deal. Fighter items, they said a couple of these got reworked. Yeah, Basilisk. So this now gain 5% movement speed for 2 seconds when damaging eroded targets. So instead of damaging them down to stacking up the pin on them, getting them eroded, and then doing extra damage, it now gives you more movement speed. Bonesaw was removed for this purpose. They didn't like how it slowed. They said the new item Rapture is replacing it as a health plus attack speed option, but it doesn't give you the slow. So now you would have to build Basilisk and the new Rapture item to really get that same combination that you were getting out of Bonesaw before. Basilisk giving you the movement speed instead of a slow. So Earthshaker, Battleborn max stacks decreased from 15 to 12. That's probably reasonable. 15 was quite a lot. Gaia Greaves, Tremor movement speed stack, gain rate decreased. Okay, that's fair. They did build stacks very fast on that. Miss Meadow Buckler, 80% base health regen added. So that's cool, getting some health regen back on it. It used to have Omnivamp on it. So now you get some health regen. Still decent for building first item against a lot of solo laners, depending on who you're laning against and who you're playing. Tainted Blade, physical power decreased from 45 to 40. Tainted Blade is a strong item, so that's kind of fair. I would have liked to see a 100 gold cost decrease with this, and then it would make more people excited to build anti-heal, but you're still building it matchup dependent most of the time. Megacosm, magical power decreased by 5. That's probably fair. Megacosm is one of the most powerful mage items in the game. Tainted Scepter, Malice, magical power scaling decreased from 1.5 to 1.25. That's probably fair because this stacks up, right? So it's not actually 1.5, it ends up being more. It ends up being 15 stacks of that. So that could make I mean, you're still building Tainted Scepter for anti-heal purposes, but it is what it is. Galaxy Greaves gets a 50 cost increase. Base mana regen reduced from 150 to 100. That definitely hurts it. Out of combat movement speed decreased from 10 to 8. And jump height decreased. Okay, so I guess too many people were building Moon Boots and they didn't like it. But why not? Moon Boots is awesome. Less mana regen, less movement speed, and less jump height is all unfortunate for a 50 gold increase. Come on, man. You ain't got to ruin Moon Boots like that. Elefrost no longer grants mana restore. Okay, I didn't even notice that. But it's a bug fix. Fist of Razul, Minion Crusher bonus minion damage decreased from 40 to 35. 40 did seem kind of excessive. 35 is probably a better balance. Then we get some bug fixes. And in conclusion, and that's it. Not a bad start at 2025. We hope you'll enjoy Mourn. as well as powerful new additions to the hero roster. When joined as a powerful new addition to the hero roster, find the new items useful and feel the game refreshed and ready for the year ahead. As always, let us know what you think on Discord or Reddit. Until next time. So, yeah, that's it for the balance changes, new items, and new hero. We'll go over real quick here the what item changes really stand out. Solaris is a big one. I don't know if people are going to be building it more or not, realistically, because it kind of fits a weird niche. Spectre, I still don't think, it's still very hero dependent on Spectre. Plasma Blade you could see built more because this is just a general buff to it. There's only a couple heroes that really make great use of it, but still, it in conjunction with the Noxian Quiver on melee heroes is really interesting. How melee heroes are going to be able to build a Noxian plus 3 other crit items to get to 100% crit. New Crowns is a big one because it's completely getting swapped around to attack speed instead of power. Still, I kind of doubt many heroes are getting good use out of this, unless you're building its second item maybe on like really specific heroes like Twin Blast, Drongo type heroes that want to get some ability damage out. Demolisher gets a nice buff against armor tanks, but not as good against health tanks. Ashbringer looks not super great anymore, but could still be usable in certain situations. Maybe if you're someone that has extremely long ability cooldowns, you'll get better use out of it. And then some of the crests are getting longer cooldowns. So that's about it for item changes that I really see that are impactful. You do have the change that you're going to have to keep in mind of Bonesaw being pulled out and replaced with Rapture. And then you're going to have to build Basilisk to get that movement speed that you would normally not need because Bonesaw keeps them slowed. So you're going to have to build that in addition to scroll all the way up here to the new Rapture item. And look at that again. Rapture gives you attack speed, health, Omnivamp, and then when you're within range of them, you deal extra on-hit damage. So this doesn't keep you glued to them like Bonesaw used to, which is why I was thinking it was kind of weird that they were saying this is a replacement to it, but now you're just going to have to make sure that you've got Basilisk if you want to be glued to them. So, interesting. A lot of interesting stuff. The new items are going to be fun to play with. It's going to take us a while to figure out what all heroes are building all these new items. When is Lucky Feather really valuable? Do you need to be looking at the enemy team's builds to see if they have Lucky Feather and trying to target them down to make them lose that extra gold? Do you really want Divine Potion for 350 gold? Is it worth it? Does it pay itself off? Maybe on some heroes that are super mana hungry, I'm thinking maybe a Zinx, certain mid laners, if you know you're going to have a hard time challenging for that bug, the mana potion off of that could be decent. And that's about it. Supports are definitely going to enjoy the new Quantum Core and potentially also Catalytic Drive. That's a pretty awesome item, especially for solo lane tanks. I really like that. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Viper being back in the game is crazy because building this in addition to something like Perforator is just going to give you so much pin. It's like armor's not even going to matter if you have Viper and Demolisher. I mean, Viper plus Demolisher, just dumb amounts of pin, ridiculous amounts of pin. And that's going to do it. The tower modifications to the health is really cool. We'll see how that plays out. Should mean extra gold for people who are playing around it and less gold for people who are letting minions push towers and stuff like that. And then as far as Mourn, it looks like a really well-balanced, or well-rounded, I should say. He's not by any means going to be balanced, but well-rounded support. We'll see how that ends up looking, because he's going to be overpowered for sure. He's got a sick ult with the blindness. He's got a pull, which is pretty crazy. He's got a teammate's heal. And this ability looks pretty sick. It's just a damage ability. Mesmerize, it makes it look like it draws that Mesmerize for a half a second to 1.25. It looks like that draws them to Mourn, which is pretty cool. I didn't really notice that before. It looks like that's what Mesmerize is going to mean. And then he's just got the nice little ally heal and armor boost and enemy armor reduction. So all that looks really cool. We'll see how that goes. His passive is just extra cleave or whatever, not really that impactful, but looks really cool. They had this sick, video of him, and you can see he hits that, and it makes the Murdoch there blind, and he can't see the Mourn coming and stuff like that. So, gonna be awesome. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Like I said, check out the timestamps. If you want to see any of these parts again, pull up these actual patch notes. I put the link to them in the description, as well as the link to the dev live stream if you want to catch up with that and the way they were talking about it. By the time this video is out, this patch should be live, depending on how long the server maintenance is. So hop on it and play it. Come check out the live streams. We'll be playing it and testing it out and trying to figure out the meta in preparation for some ranked grinding. They did not mention a ranked reset in here anywhere, so maybe they're waiting on that until version 1.4. They're going to 24/7 ranked for the next 2 weeks, but they did not talk about a ranked reset. So we'll see when that actually comes, when that gets announced. But it's all good. Thanks for watching, guys. Come check us out on the streams. Come talk to us about the new hero, or come watch us play the new hero. Let me know what you think about these patch notes in the description. Did your favorite hero get hit? Did your favorite items get changed around? They may have. They probably did, honestly. We got a lot of changes here. We'll be looking forward to version 1.4 and see what hero they re-release on that. We're expecting Wukong any patch now. But in the meantime, we've got a sick new support to play. So let's hop in there and get after it. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.